The Galactic Academy's observation deck hummed with the soft bioluminescence of 1,000 different species, but Professor Ira's classroom remained dimly lit by choice. She stood before her students, 47 cubs from 12 different predator species, and adjusted her collar for the third time that morning. Every head in the room lowered immediately. Ira paused, her fingers still on the fabric. She'd been teaching xenobiology for 6 cycles now, and still, this particular behavior puzzled her. The Valkyr cubs flattened their ear crests. The Thornian younglings pressed their snouts to their datapads. Even Kiko and Moreau, the 2 Kashari twins who normally couldn't sit still for more than 5 minutes, had gone perfectly rigid, their triple-jointed necks bent at angles that looked almost painful. "Class," Iris said gently, releasing her collar. "We've discussed this. You don't need to." 47 heads remained down. She sighed and smoothed her collar flat. Only then did the cubs cautiously raise their eyes, though several still kept their gaze averted, watching her through their peripheral vision with the wariness of prey animals, which was absurd, considering every single one of them came from apex predator lineages that had dominated their respective worlds for millennia. Ira was human. She had no claws, no venom sacs, no electromagnetic sense, no exoskeleton. She couldn't even see in complete darkness without technological assistance. By every measurable standard, she should have been the least threatening being in the room. And yet, today, Ira continued, pulling up a holographic display of Earth's Serengeti. "We're studying pack dynamics and territorial behaviors. Who can tell me why Earth's predators developed such complex social structures?" Silence. The kind of silence that felt heavy, expectant. Ira adjusted her collar again. It had twisted slightly during her gesture toward the hologram. The room went still as death. She could hear the ventilation system, the distant hum of the station's core, even the barely audible click of Miro's retracted claws against his desk. "Okay," Iris said, stopping mid-adjustment. "We're addressing this. Right now." Kiko, Miro, conference room behavior protocols. The Kashari twins exchanged glances, their fur rippling with patterns that Ira had learned meant acute anxiety. Slowly, they stood, their powerful digitigrade legs carrying them to the front of the class. They were nearly twice Ira's height, with muscle density that could shred duralloy plating, and yet they approached her with the extreme caution of someone defusing an antimatter bomb. "Why?" Ira asked softly, crouching down so she could look up at them, a position every instinct in the cubs' bodies told them was wrong, dangerous, impossible. "Do you lower your heads when I adjust my clothing?" Kiko's translator took a moment to process his clicking speech. Because you are displaying dominance, Professor." Ira blinked. "I'm doing what?" "When you adjust your collar," Moreau added, his voice barely above a whisper, "you are correcting your status markers. It means you are checking your position, making sure everything is perfect, in order." He paused, his golden eyes flicking nervously to his sister. "It is what pack leaders do before they establish hierarchy, before they enforce it." Understanding crashed over Ira like a tidal wave. She thought back to her first day at the academy, when she'd been nervous, constantly adjusting her formal instructor's collar. The way the entire administrative staff had seemed to shrink back from her. The way Director Vadhek, a Krinder war hero with enough combat commendations to fill a small archive, had immediately granted her every scheduling request without question that she'd thought they were just being polite to the new human instructor. "Students," Iris said carefully, "on Earth, adjusting clothing is just maintenance. Comfort. It means nothing except that something is crooked or uncomfortable." The class stared at her in what she could only describe as profound disbelief. A Valkyr cub named Seth raised one claw tentatively. "But Professor, you are human. Humans are. Humans invented persistence hunting. You chase prey until it dies from exhaustion. You have endurance that defies thermodynamics. Your species conquered your entire planet without any natural weapons. He paused, struggling. "You are always hunting. Every gesture is calculated. How could adjusting your status display not be intentional?" Iris stood slowly, and 47 cubs tracked her movement with the intensity of cornered animals watching for the killing strike. "Listen to me," she said. "All of you. I am not hunting you. I am not establishing dominance. When I adjust my collar, It's because it's twisted or uncomfortable, nothing more. Human gestures are not. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Not always tactical. But you never stop moving, Hiko said quietly. Even when you're still, there's always adjustment. Preparation. My mother said humans were persistence predators because they never truly rest. Every movement serves the eventual strike. Ira felt something shift in her understanding of the past 6 cycles. The way students always gave her the superior position in any room. The way they completed assignments with a thoroughness that bordered on obsessive. The way even the Academy's warriors, beings who had evolved to kill with devastating efficiency, treated her with a deference usually reserved for pack alphas or clan matriarchs. They weren't respecting her credentials. They were submitting to what they perceived as an apex predator's constant dominance displays. She laughed. She couldn't help it. The sound made several cubs flinch, but she kept laughing, and eventually, the sheer absurdity of it seemed to register with them. Miro's fur patterns shifted from anxiety purple to confused orange. Hiko's ear crests rose slightly. I'm going to teach you all something very important about humans, Iris said, wiping her eyes. She reached up and deliberately, obviously, adjusted her collar. Made it crooked, smoothed it, twisted it again. Made it perfect. The cubs watched, transfixed. This, Iris said, is just a human being human. Imperfect, fidgety, uncomfortable and formal where that wasn't designed for our body structure. We are not always hunting. We are not always calculating. Sometimes, we're just existing. Being awkward. Making small adjustments because we're social primates who groom and preen and fuss over details that don't matter. She sat on the edge of her desk, letting her legs swing freely, a posture no predator would take before an attack. Yes, humans are persistent. Yes, we're adaptable. Yes, we hunted megafauna to extinction on our homeworld. But we're also the species that domesticated wolves into small dogs we carry in bags. We're the species that writes poetry about sadness and forms emotional attachments to robots. We're contradictions. And sometimes, a gesture is just a gesture. The silence that followed was different. Thoughtful, Seth raised his claw again. So, when you adjust your collar in the future, it means my collar is uncomfortable, Ira finished. Nothing more. Nothing less. But how will we know? Moreau asked slowly. When you are being dominant. Ira grinned, showing her flat omnivore teeth. Trust me, if I ever need to establish dominance, I'll use words. Very specific, very clear words. Probably in all caps with multiple exclamation points in the digital assignment feedback. A ripple of something like amusement passed through the class. Not quite laughter, but close. Now, Iris said, pulling up the Serengeti hologram again and deliberately adjusting her collar one more time, letting it sit slightly crooked. Can someone tell me about pack dynamics? This time, when 47 cubs looked at her, their heads remained up. IT was progress.